Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. We are back at the best New York session stream in the world right now. Evan is driving. Evan is heading off somewhere with his red shirt, and man, you're driving too fast over there. You're driving just like GJ. GJ's driving up. Um, Yeah, so I woke up this morning and I saw the price. Price was at 142,400. I'm not going to say that we knew price is going to go up, but I didn't think it's going to head off towards 142,400. You know, like my level was at 142,200, like around that area. So now what we got to do is now we got to go look left, right? Now we got to go and look left and see basically what's happening to the left-hand side. What's this? All right, let's take a look left on the daily. So daily is approaching probably some sort of an area right here on the left-hand side on the 27th February. Looking at it on the 4-hour time frame. Let's look left. So basically, the 4-hour is now approaching some sort of a resistance at this point. This resistance is at 142,500, right? So price is entering a resistance area. After this, we have another consolidation area around at 142,800. So we're probably gonna move both of these to the left hand side. Do like this. Nice. I'm getting smarter now day by day. Oh. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so these are the two zones we have, right? Prices are approaching 142,500. That's the area where price can go into. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the smaller time frames and kind of see if oh yeah, okay, we're just going to get there right now. 142,500. There are no buys right now because, you know, there's no supports formed for you to take a buy. There's no sells because candles are all bullish. So this is the moment. This is the moment where you look at the chart, you're like, okay, well, you know, I see this big move happening. I've basically missed the move. You know, basically. I mean, if you're not in buys on GJ, you've basically missed out on all this move. And now, if you can see, we're entering this area 142,500. If price breaks above 142,500, if it goes above 142,500, then it's going to enter into a range, and that range is between 142,500 and 142,800. That's a 30-pip range. So, you know, at this point, we're just waiting for market or for price to create some sort of a market structure that we can recognize and then supposedly, like, you know, maybe execute a trade over there. So the move has already happened. This is when, you know, you wake up in the New York session, you're like, oh man, you know what? London session is the best session to trade because there's a lot of volatility in London session. You know, if the London session ranges and you have volatility in the New York session, then you turn around and say, okay, you know what? New York session is the best session to trade because, you know, there's a lot of volatility in New York session. So, you know, those things go hand in hand. Man, this light is way too bright right now. Gotta make it. Let's just turn this off. All right, perfect. So the ideal thing that I would want to see on GPJPY this morning would be for price to maybe like retrace a little bit, create like a support, and then come up to retest the high. Because if it's creating a high is going to be formed if you have a candle closing bearish, then a high is going to be formed. You know, and then we're going to have some sort of retracement, and then we're going to continue up to retest the high. So that's something I'm going to look out for. Let's take a look at pre-markets here. Pre-markets are positive 8 points. Shouldn't really be moving US 30 here a lot. Let's take a look at US 30 here. I don't trade US 30, but I think I really like looking at US 30. Being the first day of the month, do we suspect some sort of special volatility? No, not really. I mean, I think this is just regular market movement. Because if you look at it from a perspective that yesterday it was pound holiday, you know, like a pound bank holiday, and there wasn't much volume in the market. So whenever you have bank holidays, think of it as something with a lot of energy, and you've stopped that. You know, you've held that thing in place with a lot of energy, and once that holiday is over, and then that thing just like bursts out. So I think that's what's happening right over here. We had a holiday yesterday for the pound, and then since the holiday was over, and then GP had all this energy in it, so it just continued moving in the momentum it had to move in, because the momentum was bullish all this time. So I don't know. It doesn't have to do anything with the starting of the month, but what we do know is now, if we look at it from perspective of, okay, now remember when we look at the 1 hour candle closes or the 30-minute candle closes, and whenever like a 1 hour candle starts to go up in the first 5 minutes, almost always there's a retracement. So I think that could be a case here on the monthly candle, because if you look at the monthly in one day, actually not even in one day, in 12 hours, monthly candle went from 141,500 all the way up to 142,500, almost like 100 pips. So will there be a retracement, or will there not be a retracement? That's the question you need to ask. But when you ask that question, if there's going to be retracement, then that means you're looking for a sell. That also means you're trying to go against the trend. But what we see here is price is creating a high, and I'm going to wait for price to create probably like a support, and then we're going to continue moving up. Yo, Raj, when are you heading to London? Raja, yeah, Raj is indeed. Wednesday, flying out Wednesday. Let's take a look at your JPY here. Your JPY is also breaking above 126,800. It's coming up over there. I think once it closes, you'll have some more volume for price to continue moving up. Can you put Zoom link in test chat? I already did. It's there. Just paste it. Hey, this is a GJ trade I took earlier. Please have a look. Would like to know your thoughts. Let's take a look here. I think you had a pretty good trade. I mean, if you look at the Chinese indicator, it's going to say pound is strong. Oh yeah, there we go. Pound is strong. Dollar is meh, whatever. So, pound yen, pound AUD should also be continuing bullish over here. Now, since everything is moving bullish, we need some sort of a high to be formed, or we need some sort of supports to be formed. Because if we can get a support forming, man, price is going to continue moving up. So that's something I'm going to wait for here today. The 1st of September, probably going to have a very, very good profitable trade, because I'm going to wait for price to create support, and boom, 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 we should continue moving bullish. That's something I'm going to be looking for today. Hey, can you look at this for a better stop loss? All right, let's take a look at this. I know some people are in sells on GJ and they think price is going to continue down, but I don't know, man. I think you really need to change your ways. All right, what's this? GJ 30-minute moving up. I think this is a very risky trade. At the same time, I think that your stop loss could have been much better, because right now having the stop loss, I mean, once this 30-minute candle closed bullish, or once we broke the high over here, I think you could have brought your stop loss below this 30-minute candle right over here. Yep. Are you going to go back to your normal lot size this month? Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to start off with 5 and then move on back to like 10s and 15s. Did you took the trade last night when it broke resistance? Nope. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was cleaning. Oh no, we were watching a movie. We watched Equalizer 2. Really, really good movie. Equalizer 2. I think I watched half of it and then watched half and went to bed. Yeah, with Denzel Washington, Equalizer 2. Really good movie. Okay, what's this? Can I have your opinion? Let's take a look here. This is your JPY. Impulse buy as the candle broke the high over here. Price from resistance. Pretty good. Pretty good. If you secured profits, I think it's pretty good. Um, I saw all your trades. You posted yesterday on Instagram 43 wins, 11 losses. But why most of the losses are in NY session when you made live streams? Why? What's the problem? What's the problem if there are 11 losses in NY session? I don't see a problem with that. Um, should there not be losses? I mean, it's pretty good there are losses, right? Roger, when GJ is trending so hard, I see you usually make support in 5 minutes. Is it a good way to re-enter the tendency? What do you think? I think when you're looking at the 5 minutes for price to create like supports for price to continue moving up, I think that's a good idea. But at the same time, 5 minutes is a very weak confirmation time frame. Which is why it's really important. You need to wait for something like maybe a 15-minute, but definitely a 30-minute. You gotta wait for the 30-minute candles to maybe form a support or form like a retest bearish candle and then continue moving up. 5-minute, obviously you're gonna find confirmations, but they will not be strong confirmations. They'll be weak confirmations. Hey Raja, thoughts would be great, mate. Cheers. Took this a bit earlier on. Anything I could improve? All right, let's take a look here. Ooh, beautiful. Look at this. Since GJ moved to the upside, price created support. This was just amazing. These are the trades I really like to take right over here. Take a look at this. Price made a high, candle came down, created support, and then another confirmation to retest this high right over here. Man, if you had a runner, please tell me you had a runner over here. If you had a runner, your runner is running miles right now. Boom, marathons. Look at this. Candles making higher highs, candles making higher lows. Continuing up. Such a beautiful idea. I think most times when price is trending, people don't really trust the trend. And trusting the trend means that people don't really trust that the candles are going to continue making higher highs and higher lows. There's something wrong with that psyche. When price is moving up, you start looking left, you start looking at the resistances where you can sell, and it doesn't work. We've all tried this. That's a trial and trusted method that never works. Will you meet up with Monty in London? Yes. Average people have great ideas, legends have great execution. I'm waiting for the retracement candles to close in my direction to retest the high. Yep. That's something I'm waiting for too. Let's measure this right now. Let's measure this. So this is 30 pip, 40 pips. Okay. We're at we're in a 46 pip range over here. How could I have held this trade? Let's take a look here. Entered during London Open with this liquidity grab candle and rejection previous support. TP. How could you have held this trade? I think you could have put stops and break even and held this trade. I can't believe Mac is asking this question. I thought Mac was going to tell me to hold this. Can you explain how you mark support resistance on candles? I am confused. Yeah, you look left. You basically look left. So see, now we're going to go look left. And what we're going to find is that we'll find that this is some sort of a resistance right here. See now on the 1 hour time frame, See this? This is a resistance right here on the 1 hour time frame where price is coming into, right? This is the resistance. If price comes up into this 142, 500, 530, 540, then it's in a range, and this range is, this is a 30 pip range right over here. Because here price consolidated back on the 26th February and we broke down and came down to 142, 500, started ranging here again before falling down. And now price is coming back up over here. You know, so we'll have to be careful what happens at this point, you know, because 142 500 is a strong level, but I think it's bullish, needs to create like a support and then continue up to retest the high. Basically it needs to go up and say the high, hey man, wagwan, we come back in now. So hey, Raja Banks, gold how? No is good, up or down bad? I don't know what you mean. Bro, can we look at your AUD please? No, okay, let me just put a disclaimer over here. We need this disclaimer here. And disclaimer is, oh, it looks like we don't have that disclaimer here. Alright, let me get it here. Alright, so we got a disclaimer from the Gulag here. It says, don't say look at this, look at that, please post a labeled chart. I mean, if you read the description also says you need to post a labeled chart for us to review your chart. Do you think US30 is bullish? Let's take a look over here. I think you need to send a chart based on what you see and then we can go from there. Alright, let's take a look at this analysis here. This is, if price breaks and retests this resistance, I will enter buys with TP at 142.900. Faisal, I agree with that. If price rejects this zone with strong confirmations, I'll enter sell. I also agree with that because you have this 50 pip range. So what I'm basically looking for, personally, me as an individual, as a person, what I'm looking for, now this is not written in stone, you know, what I'm looking for is for price to come down, create a support, and then continue up to retest the high. That's basically what I'm looking for. If I see it, I'll execute on it, I'll get it. If I don't see it, then, you know, tomorrow's another day. And tomorrow's going to be my last day for trading this week because, you know, we're going to be in England here for Thursday and Friday. Let's see how that goes. Can anybody tell me which broker provide mini account? I think you can Google you can Google those things. All right. Looks like we're coming down here a little bit. It's pretty good. Gonna wait for a support to be formed, and then possibly we're gonna have a pretty good day here. see what happens. When will the live stream resume? Probably Monday. Monday. Oh no, Tuesday. Tuesday, not Monday. So next Tuesday. If the next 30-minute candle breaks the previous high, is that a valid entry? On what pair? Yeah, you need to probably identify that too. Hey, can you take a look at this? If you send it, we'll take a look at it. What music are you listening to? It's from a YouTube library. Anyone sound lost? I think anyone who's in GJ cells from down over here, I think they're pretty lost. Let's take a look over here. So we got CAD news. Other than that, possibly nothing. We had some pound news, but these pound news wasn't strong enough to push pound the way it moved up. So we're going to take a look at the news over here. Manufacturing, I mean, if manufacturing production rose up and that maybe pushed pound up, then okay, awesome. But what I can really see is that the reason why it's moving up is because, I think they're opening up economies. They're opening up economies, they're letting more tourists in. When tourists come over there, they spend more money, more tax revenue. So I think that's all like positive optimism for the pound to continue moving up. I just started tuning into the live stream and I'm enjoying every bit. Oh, thank you. Let's take a look at this USD CAD chart here. Do you consider this a fake out? I would say so if you're looking at it from this perspective right over here. Fake out for price to continue down. 30-minute chart, thinking about entering sells, but my mind is kind of contradicting myself. Yeah, I think it can continue down over here. And then if we break the support, then it's going to continue moving bearish. Can you look at this? All right, let's take a look at this. This is I entered buys here. Price made a retest and candle closed bullish. Was it a good entry? I think it was a good entry. I'd say so. I'd say so. Your stops were below this area right over here. Trend was bullish. So I think it was a pretty good entry. Let's take a look at USD CAD here. Alright, USD CAD is coming down. We are bearish. Daily candle is just dropping bearish. Daily candle has a support down at 1.29620, which is around, let's see how far that is. That's around like 30 pips away, right? Not that far away. Looking at the 4 hour is at a potential support. If we extend it to the right hand side, we're going to have to find another support here to the right hand side. And if we zoom in, there's nothing over here. And then there's another support down at 1.29, let's say 29700. There's another support right over here. $1.29700. So now we're creating zones here for USD CAD. And we'll have to go all the way to the right. Okay, perfect. There we go. Alright, so now looking at the smaller time frames, once we break this support, there's another support down at 1.29800. That's like 14, 15 pips away. So now you have that range. Looking at GJ backing in, this candle is about to close. 30-minute candle is also about to close. We're about to close a weak bearish candle. Can you talk about funding talent? Yes, we did. There's a live stream from, I think it's from 17th or 19th July or August, when we had the people from Funding Talent on the live stream, to talk about what they do and how they're helping people. So you can probably go watch that. It's in great detail. Wicks only lie 99.9% of the time. That's perfect. That's possibly true in your case if you try to go against the trend. Let's take a look at this chart here. Break out of resistance, buy on close of 30-minute time frame. Strong bullish trend. I think if you look at your JPY right now, your JPY is creating that bullish momentum here. Looking at the 30-minute, 30-minute is also closing above this area. Looking at the 15-minute, 15-minute is also closing above this area. Okay, so now there's a risk associated with this, right? If you take a trade based on this 30-minute candle closing bullish, you're also accepting the fact that because now your stop is going to be below the 30-minute candle and you're expecting the next candles to maybe like retrace but not break the low of the previous candle and continue moving bullish. You know, that's something you're looking at. But at the same time, you're also accepting now. Here's what can happen. One scenario is that may work out. You know, if that doesn't work out, then price is going to give you a second chance to take a trade. You know, the first chance is going to be you're taking the trade based on this candle closing bullish and you're expecting price to continue going up. Second chance is going to be if the next candle comes down, stops you out over here, and then creates some sort of a support, then that's going to be a second chance for you to take a buy. You know, so that could happen with your JPY. So you got to keep that in mind too. Hey, let's say the next 30-minute candle breaks above the 30-minute high. You consider price is too high to buy at this point, or it's good confirmation since price is on a strong trend. Yeah, I think when you wait for candles to break the highs, you're not confident enough, and you're just taking a trade at the very top. I mean, if you're going to be confident enough, you should just take the trade. You know, now I'm just looking at the 15-minute here. I think if the next 15-minute breaks the high of this 15-minute candle, I think it should continue moving bullish. We should at least then continue on towards 142,700. I think if you break the high over here, stops are going to be like 10, 12 pips. Continue on towards 142,700. All right, we're coming up. We're breaking the high over here on the 15-minute candle. This is also breaking this is also moving up in the first minute of this hour candle. So now we're breaking the high. I think it should, theoretically, it should continue up towards 142,700. Ooh, look at that. Oh, what's this? Why, if you are a mentor and you have a referral link to make money, I speak this about your IGT. Okay, well, the reason I have referral links is because if I'm providing business to a company, I want to make something in return too, right? If the company is going to make money based on my word, then obviously I want to be compensated for it. That's the whole reason I have the referral link. Please, if it's proper to open trade. Oh, I don't know if you can make $100 off of $45. I think it should be better than that. Beautiful move over here. This should be up like around 10 pips by now. 7, 8, 9. As you broke above the high over here. Ooh, someone entered a GJ buy at the top. Yeah, that's not a good entry at all. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I had my entries at 142.507, and I just got out of my trades. Got like about like 13 pips, 14 pips, and you know, just as we mentioned, this was the trade here. Stops down here, and then TP. You can look at 142.700. But you know, if you close at 142.630, 640, so call that a win. You know, call that a win. Now, oh wow, this thing is continuing on towards 142.700. I think we're gonna get 142.700 here. We're coming at 142.650, 142.655. Wow, what a nice move. So this is where there were no sells, but there were impulsive buys. You know, because we were breaking up above 142.500, like we've been talking about this since the whole morning. You know, and I mean, simple, easy push. Continuation. Your JPY also did the same thing. You know, now here's the thing: if you entered your JPY at the top right here, that was a very bad entry because you were not confident in the trade. If you entered right over here, you know, your stop was small and you got like 10, 11 pips right over here in the buys. But if you entered at the break of the high over here, your stop was way bigger. You know, this makes sense, so you have to be very careful in those things. Now, when we look at GPJPY, this is where the education on impulse entries, you know, it helps a lot. All right, so what's it? Oh, we have a guest here today.
I'm a guest.
Yeah, you're the guest.
Good morning. Yeah, there was people asking about this GJ trade and how you would have executed on it. This is your area, like you were saying. This is the area that you would have been focusing on as a trader. So once again, we know as a group that usually the hour candles have pullbacks, right? And we know that a lot of times when the new hour starts, there's spillover from momentum from the previous hour. So you can see here on the 15-minute, this is your key. We have this dip here, which obviously we hit this resistance, pull back down. Now working off of this candle, you jump into your smaller time frames because we see that this tail has been formed. So this is your tail. That means for the most part with momentum, we're going to continue and fill this wick at minimum. This spillover then brings us up to the top here, and like Raja said, we're 142,700. But this area right here is your key because we had rejection there. So with the new hour forming, any sort of order at this point here would be secure at that point, and all you had to do is place a stop below here if you needed to at that point. But because we have momentum and a spillover from the next hour candle, that's what you got. Because I even got a bad entry. I got an entry at 142.550, and I still closed 10 pips. And because I opened right at 7 a.m. So if you had opened right at 7 a.m., price was like 142.550. I closed at 702. Well, 703.
We're approaching target over here. $142,700.
Yeah, I got in super late as well. I got in at 6:11, but I'm still holding.
Oh, yeah, that is late.
Super late. But
oh, congratulations! Congratulations, 142,700.
Yeah, I'm closing already.
Man, whoever held it here, give yourself a round of applause because I closed at around like 13, 14 pips, and this is just crazy.
That was
amazing.
Yeah, I literally closed right over here. I entered right over here, and I closed like right over here. This was my trade.
I closed right here.
Beautiful. This was another day of stress-free trading here. I mean, this was all based on impulse entries right over here. Once we broke the high, it just continued momentum.
Yeah, I think also too, people have to get used to the fact that GJ moves really quick. So this is if you go back to your 5-minute chart, Raja, the keys were the 5-minute area. You can see here, this was your key. As soon as we had a bit of a support here, even though 5-minute isn't going to give you your best confirmation, open up a 5, a 15, and an hour time frame. Open up 3 charts at once. So have 3 charts open and use your 5 minutes as, you know, sort of your current traffic. Use your 15-minute as your, you know, so your 5-minute is your execution time frame. Your 15-minute is your watch time frame. And then your hour time frame is going to be where your target's going to be based on looking left. And if you did that, you would have an effective trade.
Will it continue going up? Question mark.
Don't care.
I don't.
That's the question of the day.
Raja, I thought you don't like taking trades within the first couple of minutes of breaking the high for impulse.
Yes, but based on what I've seen on GJ is that it really does retests. So once it broke the high and we were above 142.500, then it just made sense for price to come back in this range. If you were here before doing, like, since we started, I was talking about, you know, price being in this area right over here. If we look left, this is what I was talking about earlier. That this is an area, this was a resistance formed at 142.500, and if price broke above this area, then it's going to come into this range, and there's a possibility for price to continue up towards 142.800, because previously in February, the last week of February, this was a range here, right? So we're taking this information into today, and this is where I was like, okay, you know what, if price breaks up above, you know, 142.500, it has a very high chance to continue up towards 142.800 within this range. So that trigger point was once we were breaking the highs on the 15-minute candle. So that was the indication and confirmation that, okay, we're going to continue in this range now, rather than reject it. Because if we had to reject this range, then price wouldn't have broken the high right here, and we would have had like a little bit of retracement to create support to continue moving up. Plus
I get the term that just, you know, oftentimes within the first couple of minutes, it breaks the high, then comes back, and that's when you want to take your second entries. But I don't know, even on GU is the same thing. We're in a clean range. I just didn't pull the trigger because it was in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, so there's like a probability, right? There's a probability. There's a higher probability that the pound will continue moving up. There's a low probability that it will come down to create like a lower wick. You know, so if it did come down to create a lower wick, then I guess that position would have gotten stopped out, and then I would have looked for a second chance at the trade. Right, but we also have to keep in mind that, okay, this is 7 a.m., you know, it's like here in New York, there's a lot of volume in this time, and I mean, we've been watching GJ for about 2 years, and it's very, very volatile, you know, so yeah, if it had to make a lower wick, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, to your point too, Raja, and I fully understand that question, because it's like, well, how did you know it's going to do it versus how do you know it's not? I think that's basically the ultimate question, what people want to know. You are taking a calculated risk. The calculated risk you're taking is based on this candle here. And what you're saying is probability is going to dictate that I believe momentum is still strong, and this candle is not a rejection now to the downside, but just a quick liquidity grab to push to the upside. But I have to understand something, that this candle here, this 15-minute candle here, that's all I can take based on the information from here. So this is where a lot of traders have issues, or they have challenges, is because they want to take a trade, right? So, and it's a perfectly valid question. They want to take a trade, but then they say, well, how do we know that this is just going to go straight up? we know based essentially on probability of this candle here saying that this was a liquidity grab, where liquidity grabs are to pull down to then start the new hour candle to drive up. Now, with that being said, within the 15-minute candle, obviously we have 3 5-minute candles. Essentially, you're taking what would have been this move here. So maybe this is like 10 or 12 pips, and you're just mirroring it in here. So you're basically taking 12 pips out of there. The issue that people have, or the challenge happens, is they see this move here and then they say, well, I don't know where to take profit. Well, effectively you do, because this is what you're basing your idea off of. So this should be your trade idea. If it runs further, great, like you get a bonus. But if it doesn't, you should already be cutting your trade off at the end of this 15-minute candle or even before, based on the idea of this candle saying, okay, well, this candle pulled back about 10 pips. So that basically gives me an elastic band to go up maybe 10 pips, because this is not an hour candle or a 4-hour candle. This is a 15-minute candle. This is where traders really struggle, because now you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to hold this trade. But the next 15-minute candle could do exactly what you said, push all the way down, create the tail that you want, and then continue to drive up. But that's not what you're basing your idea off of. If you're basing your idea off of that, then you have to wait for this candle or the next candle to drive further down, and then the next 15-minute candle to do this, and then continue to drive up. And this entire idea then becomes your hour candle that looks like this. But in the first 15 minutes, we got just that impulse push up. We didn't have a tail formed.
That's the only reason I didn't take it. This is exactly what I looked for. I actually like GU more, but it's part of my plan.
But that's exactly it. So you're exactly right in your thought process. As a trader or someone maybe that has less experience, technically speaking, yes, you would want to look for this idea, because the idea is you grab liquidity and you pushed up. The same thing happened here, but just on a smaller time frame, so your gain is going to be less. Like your gain is 13 pips, where if you had this on an hour candle, maybe you're going to get 20 to 30 pips at that point with GJ, just because of the way GJ moves. So you're exactly right. It's how you play the range and what time frames are you working off of, and how do you evaluate that time frame and say, where is my target going to be based on probability at that point. So with the hour candle, if the hour candle pulls back and rips right back down again and creates that tail, then you know at least you're going to have this range here. You're going to have that whole range, because what's going to happen is it's going to drive right through it. So now you have a better opportunity to plan your trade and say, this is the area that I think we're going to go through, and we're going to push through at that point. So if the next 15-minute candle dips down, then the next 15-minute candle does something like this. It creates like an indecision, and then that brings us to the end of the hour, starting to drive up. That's where you can say, okay, perfect. There was a support created here. I have rejections at these points here. Now I can take my trade going up, because I'm more comfortable than taking a trade that basically has no bottom wick. And we know most likely when it has no bottom wick, it's going to create more than likely a top wick, and then start to drive down at that point. That's all I had to say.
Raja, you're on mute.
Yeah, either it's going to continue on towards 142.800, or we're going to create like a support in this area within this range for price to, like, bounce around in this range. How is this even free? Well, if you're here, then it's basically, I mean, that's it, right?
I always wonder why people think there's ulterior motives. I mean, what else are we going to do when we're trading? I mean, it's not a big deal for me to talk while I'm doing this. If I don't want to be here, I just don't show up. I sleep in. It's pretty straightforward. But there's no ulterior motives. There's no reason to have ulterior motives. I think people are used to having to struggle to get something, and they're now trying to question why they're getting something that they need.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the thing that, okay, like some things, oh yeah, this is just too good to be true. This can't be true. There's a catch. We gotta find what's the catch.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I mean, think about it this way. Okay, so the first catch is there's 3,000 people watching, so Raja's going to get paid from YouTube. You guys aren't paying him, so there's no catch on your end. You're showing up. You can leave at any time. You can do whatever you want, but Raja's getting paid. When Raja started, 2 years ago, or well, on YouTube, but before that, there was 10, 20 people. So Raja wasn't getting paid for about a year and a half. Raja was not getting paid, barely. He was getting peanuts. It's only been in the last maybe 3 or 4, maybe 6 months, I think,
Yeah,
5, 6 months. Yeah, that you've actually gotten an income where you can say, hey, I can buy more than a coffee off of a YouTube stream. So you figure for 12 months, you put in, well, almost 18 months, you put in work to finally get paid from the last 7, 8 months. So I mean, I think anyone who says, he has multiple income streams, like why do you want referrals? Why do you want these? Like, why not? Like, I mean, why does LeBron James get sponsored by Nike? He doesn't need the money. But hell, if he's gonna go play basketball and wear those shoes, why not get an extra paycheck? Like that's stupid. Like I would take that all day. Someone turned around and said, Ted, wear this T-shirt on the live stream, and I'm gonna pay you $100 every time you wear it. Sure. I mean.
No, it's more like when you help someone's business grow, then obviously you want some sort of a compensation, and that's all what it is. Hugo's Way has paid me. There was another broker, XSplit. They have paid me because I don't know. It's fair play. Ooh, I don't know where to start. All right, let's start with
5.
5. Yeah, right here. 5 minute, made a high, came down. Oh, okay. Look at this. So now this is what Ted was talking about earlier. See this 15 minute? Let's take a look at this 15 minute, right? This 15 minute, when it broke above here, this is exactly what happened on GJ. Yeah, right over here. This is exactly what happened on GJ right here. And then when we look at the 5 minute right here, 5 minute created kind of like that same arc. Made a high, came down, created support, started to move up, and that was the same idea on GG on the 5 minute here too. Right here, it made a high, came down, and continued to move up. So that was a pretty good entry right there. I think its stop could have been smaller, could have been below, this candle right over here. I think that would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I really like those kind of entries, to be honest, like on the smaller time frames when we get these dips like this. Those are probably my bread and butter entries in terms of that, because that this dip here, it doesn't match up with the rest of the trend. And that's what you're always looking for. Is the best way to trade is you're looking for inconsistencies in what's happening in the market. Like when you look at something and you say this doesn't make sense, and like you're 100% right, like this candle here didn't make sense. So if it doesn't make sense, probability dictates that if we're not going down, then we're going to shoot back up. And because we have all this momentum in the trend, that we're going to go for a bit of a ride. So anytime you're looking at the charts and things don't make sense, chances are you're accurate in what you're thinking. The market will play tricks on you, and it will do something like this where you say to yourself, well, this is a resistance level. Oh, this must be rejection, and now we're starting to go down. Be cautious about that, because this is a very small time frame, and the market is trying to pull you in to say, yeah, definitely take a sell so that we can drive it back up, right? And the characteristics of GJ, when it trends, it just keeps going. And we've been calling buys on GJ for, I think, since 137, 139. I mean, we can
Yeah.
go back into July. It's really been, you know what, you can grab scalps on the sell side, but it's always been GJ is going to continue to plow up. We've looked at the monthly time frames; they've always been bullish. Like there's never been a.
We've been calling buys since price broke above 135, 500,
Yeah.
135.
Yeah,
I've
because
been-
we had that massive rejection on the like that monthly candle, this one right here.
This one.
So it's the similar idea. We said once we break out of this area here, we're off to the races, and this candle was going to get filled. We said that as well. So your target is going to be up here. That's where your target's going to be on the monthly. So if you're swing trading this, your stop is over here at this point, and your take profit is approaching this area over here. If you're swing trading this on the monthly time frame, because this is the beginning of September, you can probably ride that all the way back into this area here now, because this is your supply area and this is your demand area. So you can see this is a one candle rejection. So when people talk about supply and demand, what is it? This is one candle and then a rejection down, one candle here and a rejection back up. So you know that we're going to return back into those order areas. When? Nobody knows, but I mean, that's the logical progression.
Let's take a look at Euro JPY. Euro JPY. So now, if it starts retracing, you would want to see price creating a support in this area for price to continue moving bullish. Same idea is going to apply on GJ here. Like a lot of there's some talk about if we break the highs to continue moving up. Now you got to look at it this way, right? We are in this range, and this range is from 142.500 towards, let's say 142.830, like 33 pip range. So if you're looking for impulse entries as price breaks the high over here, you're basically looking for a range of like 15 to 20 pips. It's going to be better to look for a buy if price creates a support down over here. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the best idea to look for a trade, for price to create a support here to continue moving up. The reason why impulse entry here made sense because now you had a larger range to play in.
The good thing too is right now, if you didn't have a target before, this is your initial target. So you have this area here that's going to fill first. So these are the little things that you can take away from these ideas. Is we didn't know where we would go originally, right? We were saying 700 is a good target, maybe 850, 900. But now that we have this rejection here, that can be your first target for your new trade. So as this starts to trail down and it goes back up, you can say, hey, I'm pretty sure that we're going to come back and fill this, because what's happened here, orders have left to go somewhere. So they've gone over here, and then as they go back up, they're going to come return to this area over here. So you know that this is a good target right away for you to fill. So if this candle ends up starting to look like this, you can say, okay, I'm going to take an entry over here and I'm going to fill it at least to here. I don't have drawdown because I waited for the candle to reject and look like this. So even if I get 8 pips out of this, it's you're looking at 8 to 1 ratio. It's still a good trade, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not what you're doing or how much you're grabbing in terms of profit or pips. It's basically your risk to reward, right? Or having a positive outcome. So no matter how big or how small the positive outcome is, that's what's going to keep refining or also inputting into your brain, and you're basically what's the word? You're conditioning your brain to have positive outcomes, no matter how big or how small. And it's just a positive outcome, and then who knows? This shoots up over here. Suddenly now you're at like a 13 to 1, right? And it was just because you had an idea to start to here, and then you just kept adjusting your targets up, and then you move your stop loss up accordingly as well.
I don't trade gold, but can we have a look at this setup? I have two options for gold. Let's take a look over here. Well, so far, here's my idea on gold, right? We got support at 1987. Shout out to everyone who's born in 1987. Shout out. And then we got a resistance at 1989, 1990. Shout out to all the youngins out there too. 1989.
Shout out, shout out.
So, yeah, so these are the two ranges right here that I have on gold. Obviously, I don't trade gold right now, and that's a very deadly range to be in. All right, let's take a look over here. Okay, mid-range sensitive zone. You got the high resistance right here, buy above here, and wait for candle to close. That looks solid. And if we measure how big this, so you don't have this middle zone right over here. So if we measure this range, this is a 26 pip range. Measure this range here, this is like a 23 pip range. I think you still have those ranges right there to play in, right? Obviously, if we break above 1992, then you have like a wider range to play in, because you know when you look left now, on the when you're looking left, you have clean candles going all the way up to 1995. Shout out to everyone in 1995. So it makes sense to take an impulse entry based on 15-minute support, or should we wait a support in a 30-minute to take? I don't think anyone should be focusing on impulse entries if you're not really good and confident with taking entries when candles are closing. I mean, taking impulse entries is a prerequisite of you being confident in taking entries when candles close. You should be good at that first before you come to impulse entries, because you have to understand this. When you're taking an impulse entry, you're taking an entry at a high, you know, so that becomes an even riskier entry, because you're taking an entry as the candle is forming, as the candle is breaking a high or break a low. So there's a lot of experience required in that aspect, you know. But when you're taking entries when candles are closing bullish at supports, then you're like, okay, you know what, this is a very, very strong confirmation entry. So there's a little bit of an experience and practice involved when you look for impulse entries. Does Raja review charts from YouTube viewers? No, we only review charts from the Gulag people here. So let's see if you get the hint or not. I mean, the worst thing you can do to yourself as a trader is start to take sells, you know, when price is moving bullish, in the anticipation of getting like a wick entry, you know, which look good on the gram. I mean, that doesn't really look too good. I think confirmations don't come too often. That's something I can say about GJ, but when you face a pair with the price action like GJ or price action like gold, you know that sometimes there's going to be no confirmation. So then you have to adapt, right? Then you have to look at it and say that, okay, like, you know what, if there was no confirmation for this trade, how was it possible for someone to get in that trade? And then you start to look at those little, like, you know, little moves within the time frame. You start looking for like different ideas you could have, like, you know, involved to take that trade. So those things matter a lot. So let's say I took this buy right over here at 142.509 and price went up, took profits here, and things were awesome, you know, even though we rejected right at 142.700. You know, now someone could say, okay, you know what, I didn't really understand why this buy was taken, because I was waiting for a confirmation, or I was waiting for a support which may form here, you know, in the next hour or so, and then price will continue moving up. And then you start to look at, okay, how could I have taken an entry? And then you start to look at different ideas that, okay, if price continues bullish, right? Whenever price continues bullish, it makes higher highs and higher lows. So that means the market structure also makes higher highs and higher lows. So then you can say, okay, if this candle, if these candles are moving bullish, and if this candle is breaking the high of the previous candle, this means it's creating a higher high, right? So then you're basically putting your trust in that candle that, okay, if you're breaking the high, that means you're going to make a higher high. And then you involve your technical aspects of the trading that, okay, we have a support here looking left from 27 February at 142,500. And if we break above this area, now price is going to come into a range, into like this 31, 33 pip range, so these little things, you look at them. Every time you miss moves, you take these things in perspective, and then you start putting them all together. When you start to put them all together, you start to understand that, oh, okay, you know what? This makes sense. Maybe if it happens again, I'm going to execute on it. So, this takes time. This whole idea, it took me 8 months. 8 months of watching it, 8 months of missing moves, missing trades, seeing people being in trades. Looking at Ted, this guy would take trades based on the 5-minute, and I would say, no, you know what? I wait for the 30-minute, or I wait for the 15-minute, and I would miss those trades because I refused to look at the 5 minutes. But then I started to create these scenarios on which I could say, okay, you know what? How could I have entered the trade without looking at the 5-minute? Or how could I have entered the trade without looking at the 15-minute, or a smaller time frame? So, and then these impulse entry ideas came along.
Yeah, I think you're right with that too, and I think a lot of people that are watching this stream have to take a step back and watch the larger time frames. And what the larger time frames allow you to do, the larger time frames give you a bigger margin of error. And what I mean by that is the moves are a lot slower. So it's almost as if you can watch 4 1-hour candles do the exact same pattern that 4 5-minute candles would do. And as you get better with understanding these scenarios, so we're looking at Euro, JPY, or GJ, whatever we're looking at, these scenarios here play out on the hour candles a lot of the times as well. And if you watch to see what happens on the hour candles, you have a lot of time to see how these movements form. And then when you move into your 15-minute time frames, you can then say, with a little bit more confidence, that this is going to happen, but it's going to happen faster. But once again, my range is going to be tighter, right? So if you go to an hour time frame on different charts, you'll see this exact same setup. It happens all the time. Basically, it's a bullish candle with a bit of a rejection, right? So everyone thinks now we're starting to sell. This candle creates support. It goes up a little bit higher, right? And then it pulls back down. So what happens is you get this kind of scenario, right? But the candles are still bullish, and then you have this candle here starting, right? So what does that tell me? More than likely, this candle is probably going to fly up and fill this area here, but it may not happen in one candle. It might take a few candles now because we've tried to get up into that area. Where can I see this happen previously? If I look on my higher time frames, I can see the similar scenarios happening. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to plan for this smaller scenario, right? So you can see here's an example right over here, right? We never really went bearish. We held support. Even though this candle rejected, we saw what happened. This candle flew up, and what happened? It went a little bit higher. Then the next candles went up a little bit higher. So looking at that, we can say the same thing is going to happen on the smaller time frames, but the range or the amount of pips that you could possibly get is a little bit less. That's the difference. And that's where you have to understand that you can't use a 15-minute candle or 30-minute candle as confirmation and say, I'm going to get 60 pips off this move. It's not going to happen. It does happen once in a while, but it doesn't happen enough for that to make sense. So maybe your 15 or 30-minute candle only gives you 10 or 12 pips consistently, but then there's that one trade where it just keeps running. That's the difference. That's where you let your runners run. But a lot of times, a 15-minute candle will give you 5, 10, 15 pips. That's it. And that's what you're targeting. If you want bigger pips, you need wider stops, you need to use the higher time frames, and you need to use bigger ranges. Raj is on mute. Raj is on mute. Raj is just talking to himself again.
Oh, because I was eating an apple before and no one could hear it, and then I pressed the mute button, and I guess everyone was hearing the apple and not me. Yeah, this looks pretty good. You got the range over there. The thing with UJ is that UJ does, I mean, look at this. From right over here, 105, let's say this is 870, all the way up over here. This is like 10 pips, and then you got this problem. You got this problem here, this wick over here, and then you got some other issues right over here too. I mean, if this was GJ, man, GJ would have had a pretty big range. Suggest me which broker I should use, because I tried 3 brokers already, and sometimes the charts are working totally different from TradingView. Well, my friend, you're going to be in a constant quest to find the broker that is exactly with TradingView. That's never going to happen. You're going to keep on looking for that apple, and you're never going to find it.
My suggestion to that is compare like different brokers on TradingView to yours, and then do like different time frames comparisons from your from the broker you're in to like the different brokers on TradingView, like the 4-hour one.
I'm sorry you had to cut in that conversation, because that was completely false information. What you need to do, you don't need to do that, because the reason why your charts from TradingView are never going to match up with your charts on MetaTrader, because in TradingView there's no spread. On TradingView you see no spread. On MetaTrader you see a spread. That's why the price is different.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying similar. I didn't say exactly the same.
Like GG is gonna do exactly the same thing.
TradingView to show your spread.
Ooh, looks like your JPY is also trying to continue moving up here. If it closes bullish, there's more room to continue going up. If you didn't take your first trade on GJ, would you be looking to enter as this 15 minute breaks the high? I think it'll be, let's see how this closes. I have to wait for the 15 minute to close. We'll have to see how it closes. Because if it closes below this area, then it's creating like a minor resistance, which gives more room for price to maybe like retrace and create a support and then continue moving up. Some tense 4 minutes on GJ.
Thoughts for gold today? We talked about it yesterday. We can see what happened. The daily candle flew up. The new monthly candle is now sort of going up. The problem is with the monthly candle pushing like this, you don't know if we're just going to, it's just going to go up, and then where is it going to reject? Because that's a huge wick. What I said yesterday and what we talked about earlier is I would have liked to see a rejection down first and then a push up on the monthly. So I think this move up is similar to the discussion that we're having with GJ, but on the higher time frames. So you're going to have that push up initially, that impulse, because it's the first of the month. So yeah, technically we could probably get to, I would say 1995 even maybe 2003, and then you'll see the dip back down again later on this month. But as it stands right now, there's massive rejection on the daily, so you're getting that push, and we should potentially top out at 1995 if we get continued momentum right now. It is struggling at 1990, so you have to be aware of that. So if you're in positions from like 1982, even 1988, you might be safe, but I think at this point 1995 is a clean target if we do reject to the upside. And we are getting that momentum. So the next hour, maybe we do dip down and then we push up a little bit more on the next hour candle.
All right, let's take a look at this trade. This is, I know you don't trade high time frame, but I was wondering what your opinion on my analysis. Honestly, high time frames, high time frame candles, low time frame candles, 30-minute, 15-minute, 4-hour, they all move the same way. They always trust the same market analysis. What's this? Monthly candle? Oh, looks like Pete is unmuted. Price correction percentage of the moves into the downtrend. This downtrend, I've noticed that after heavy bearish momentum, price corrects majority of the move. That's true. But also, I mean, if this was a big move down, you see this is where the consolidation was. The price came up to that consolidation area and then it rejected it. Break the previous low high neck. Oh, okay. So you're looking for price to break the lows. So that's going to be a long wait. Probably like a couple of weeks, probably a couple of months, because you might have a monthly candle that may spike up into this area 144. I mean, we got to get to 144 first to see what's going to happen. Hey, your mic is too low, please fix it. I think you need to fix your speakers. My mic is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So 15 minutes kind of like rejecting that area. Now you'll need the next one to close bullish for price to continue moving bullish. So you still need some sort of confirmations here. Alright, what's this? Would appreciate your opinion on US 30. So your JPY 15-minute candle closed bullish. Means it's creating like a minor support at 126.860, so it should have a higher probability to continue up. Looking at GJ, now here at GJ things are a little different, right? On GPJPY you would need the 15-minute candle, this one, to close bullish to give you confirmation that okay, one, we're closing bullish, two, we're closing above this minor resistance is forming right over here. Because if this 15-minute candle also rejects this area, then there's a minor resistance formed, and then you would need to see some sort of support formed for price to break above that area and continue moving bullish. Let's take a look at this. This is US 30. US 30-minute chart broke major below support, came back for retest, waiting to identify bearish momentum. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. We're breaking below the support. There's a range coming down towards 28, 380, 370. You got some range over there.
Yeah, I would say 350. You have a good opportunity. If it does continue to go bearish, you could probably drop out at like 28,169. That's a nice level as well for US 30. So just watch it as it pulls down. The thing is, there hasn't been really any sort of good sentiments in the news lately. We had stock splits with Tesla and Apple and stuff like that, which caused outages yesterday on other broker platforms. But other than that, I think we're pretty good. So if you had Tesla shares split, I think 5-1. That's what I got. So it was a good day yesterday.
this isn't Tesla. This is some other Tesla.
No, it's you have to type in TSLA. There you go. You go with NASDAQ, yeah. So now we're at $500 only instead of 2,000.
Oh, so these are like split in.
Yeah, so the Tesla shares split yesterday 5-1. So the Tesla stock price now is back at $500.
Okay.
So pre-split, it was at 511. So that means it was $2,500. And now that it's split, now it's back to 500. So you can see where it says that yellow word on the left there, or the right, sorry.
Pre.
So that was, yeah, so that was the price multiplied by 5 before the split.
Interesting.
Yes.
Correct. They made the price more attractive again because the price was so high that the regular average person couldn't buy into it.
Yeah.
So
And now they all are. Yay.
yeah. Apple too. Apple's looking attractive also.
Yep.
Apple should see a rally back to at least.
Ted, I had a question.
Sure.
If they split the price, wouldn't the value of the company still be the same?
Yep.
It's just
It's
lot
the
more.
exact same.
It's the exact same. It
Lot
just
more.
means that you have more shares. So when it goes back up to 2,000 a share again, you've basically made 5 times your money.
But what if it goes the opposite way? Aren't you like sort of hedging? Like you don't know if it's gonna go either way because Tesla can crash tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It just means like what Kavan said. It gives the price a more attractive opportunity for people to buy in, right? Like if you figure like Berkshire Hathaway, their price of their share is $9,000 or $12,000 a share, so you're only buying fractions of Berkshire Hathaway. With Tesla, because it's a relatively new company, what they're doing is they're putting out more shares there, keeping the increasing the capitalization in terms of shares, but keeping the actual company, I guess, value the same. But it's giving more opportunity. More shareholders are getting involved now at that point. But your voting rights also are then added to that too.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Yeah, well, yeah, Berkshire's got like everything. I know there's Berkshire shares that's got 300,000, there's Berkshire shares 15. There's like a whole bunch of different things. But what I'm saying is they've never really split their shares, but you can buy fractions of shares. A lot of people don't understand that you don't have to buy a whole share. You can buy a fraction of a share. You don't have to buy the entire stock.
Correct. Or like if Apple or Tesla is too expensive to buy, or Microsoft, what you guys need to do is look for ETF that has all of those together in one, and then you could get a better price.
That's right.
I did bought some options of Apple yesterday in the morning, and luckily it gave me the 30% profit by the end of yesterday.
Oh,
What
nice.
you played the weekly options, or you played the monthly or the 2 years?
No, actually, I took the expiry date of April 2021, but
Smart, man.
I was into day trade, so I sold them yesterday. Maybe I will see if it comes little down, so I may buy again. But I
Yeah.
made 30% yesterday.
That's good. That's good. Like I'm actually waiting for the pullback, because history shows every time there's a split, there's actually a pullback. So I'm looking to do some option plays also.
Yeah, it's a good, if you take an option for at least a year expiry, it definitely gives you a profit, even if it's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing about I think with Tesla to be if you're interested in Tesla shares now, because they've done the split, they're having their investor day this month. I think it's September 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Battery Day. And at that point, they're going to be, obviously revealing a lot of things. So if you follow Tesla, Elon's been working on a bigger battery with more power. The cars that they're releasing are going to have longer ranges than they currently have, and there's going to be a couple of surprises, he said. That's the other thing too. So if you're going to invest in specific companies, start to really understand what they're working on and what their future plans are, and that allows you to give it's like basically understanding the market, right? Like with Tesla, I've been in Tesla shares like from 2013. The reason being is I believed in the technology. I thought at the end of the day, from a logical standpoint, we can't keep polluting the earth. People are going to wise up and say that we need to use alternative sources, and he was the first one that actually provided a real valid way of doing something, right? Because before, electric cars were very hard to use because they didn't have the range. Where did you charge them? Like, what did you do? He actually presented a viable option, and I believed in that option because I said to myself, that makes sense. Like, if I could just drive an electric car and it has the same power of a petrol or a gas fueled car, why wouldn't I do that? It just made sense in my mind. And I've owned 2 cars since from Tesla, but that's what it was. The rationale on why the stock price is going crazy, I couldn't tell you. I mean, if in 2013 you said, hey, Tesla's going to go up to $2,500 a share, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. I don't see it having that because bank stocks only go up to a couple $100, right? So I mean, I don't know the rationale behind it. Was it dumb luck? Probably. I mean, if you bought Tesla earlier this year, you would have still made a huge return on it. So, I mean, it wasn't that you had to get in back 5-6 years ago. I mean, you could have got in in the beginning of January. I think Tesla shares were at $400, $500.
And remember, Tesla was at like 1,200, 1,500. Or was that something wrong I looked at?
Well, no, Tesla this year, this is the rally. It rallied this year. Like, it didn't do this last year or the year before. Like, it's only been this year. Tesla's been like the Bitcoin of the stock market. Like, this year it went up to 2,500. All the retail investors are going to get in now because Tesla's like rocketing, and then it's just going to crash like probably in October after Battery Day. And then people are like, "Oh, I lost all my money."
In April, when I was learning that candlestick pattern and all the stocks and Forex, so at that time, I watched Tesla. One day it was at around 490 something. And I woke up next day, it was 725. Yeah. So it was crazy.
So it went that high, so they split the stock so that it's more attractive for people to buy it now.
Yeah, they were not affording that expensive shares. So that's why they split the Apple and Tesla both. Apple was splitted by 4 and Tesla was splitted by 5.
So now if there's going to be a rally again, that rally, the volume in that rally will also going to be cut in half?
No.
Well, obviously it should. I mean,
why?
Because like if it rallied, let's say by ×1 when it was at like 1,700, and now if it's cut in half, so shouldn't that speed be like cut in half as well? Because it's basically half.
Yeah, Raja, technically you are right, but you know what happened when it came lower? So the more people are buying. So I don't think so. It might affect or not, but the volume is increased. And what people are expecting about the Apple? Actually, Apple is going to launch their iPhone in October, so everyone is like expecting it will go up till October.
Yeah, I think to truthfully, a lot of these stocks right now, to be honest, are really overvalued. There's not enough fundamental information behind them to justify their valuations. I'm a super big fan of Tesla, but I don't see the fundamentals to justify the valuation. People have asked me, should I buy Tesla shares? I've said I've been very cautious. Is it a long-term play? Probably, but like I wouldn't be putting the house in there. Back when I purchased shares, I did that because it was, you know, a relatively new company. Now I feel that the technicals behind Tesla's share price, they don't support the fundamentals. Unless something comes out that's really revolutionary on battery day, I can't see Tesla shares holding this high of a price for this long. Because really, at the end of the day, I mean, they haven't made anything new, like in the sense of, yeah, they put new cars out, you know, they're doing well in manufacturing, but there's not, like, if you compare Tesla to Apple, if Apple brings out a brand new revolutionary product, that can justify a valuation and price for Apple, because now they have something new, the market will absorb it, you have new customers, you have a potential new marketplace. Unless Tesla does something like that, I don't see the price holding at that point. The thing is, they tried to do the roof, the Tesla roof, which was all solar panels, and that has somewhat flopped. People have complained about the panels breaking. It's been hard to install. It's expensive to install. So, you know, there's a lot of things they have to refine still. I mean, it's a great company, don't get me wrong, but I think they need to do a little bit more work for it to warrant the actual valuation that it does have at this point. I think a lot of this has just been like the pump of every other equity in the market right now.
Ted, I got a quick question to ask.
Yeah.
Does the battery, okay, because the problem with Tesla is that their price for the car is it's crazy, right? The average person can't afford a $50,000-$60,000 car, right?
Yeah.
So what's the price of the battery? Because the parts of the car are pretty cheap, right?
So the battery's $12,000. If you have to replace the battery, it's going to cost you between $12,000 and $15,000 to replace the actual battery. There's two batteries in the Tesla. There's a battery that controls the electronics, and then there's a battery that controls the actual like propulsion of the car. My first Tesla, that battery went, but it was under warranty, so they just put a new battery in for you. It's like a 12-volt battery that they put in into the car. But the battery that sits underneath the car, that long battery, that's the base of the car, that's about $15,000, and that has a 10-year warranty, 10 or 12-year warranty on it when you buy the car.
Okay, so until they get that cost down for the battery, there's no way they're gonna have a $20,000, $25,000 car that an average person could afford.
Well, I mean, the Model 3 was that. I mean, coming in at 30, 40,000. I mean, that's relatively priced. I think if you're looking for like the economy style, where you know you get like the Honda pricing, or like, you know, the Toyota pricing, where you have like a Tercel or a Corolla version of Tesla. I think that's going to be a little bit tougher at the end of the day. But I mean, it's like cell phone technology, right? I mean, your cell phone used to not be able to fit in your pocket. Now, you know, you can put it in your pocket, right? So I think you're right. It'll take a bit of time, but when we get to that point, but I think all the other manufacturers are racing to that point as well, right? You got Audi, you know, GM, you have even Ford now. They've done, you know, electric Mustang, you know. So I think we're going to get to that point. It's just like right now, I think we're about 5 or 6 years off at least.
Okay. But to be honest, I don't think no one's ever going to drive a electric Toyota Corolla. Like, Tesla is that brand, like the iPhone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but to your point though, like I looked at I look at the Porsche Taycan as an example. The only reason I'm not buying a Taycan, and I'm on the fence, like literally the other day I was looking at it like to just go out and pick up, and the only reason I didn't buy it is because you can't charge it anywhere. Like there's not enough places to charge, and in the city where I am right now, they don't have a lot of those high the quick charge stations, which they're starting to build out now in other cities, like the rapid charge stations, which are for every electric vehicle, but they don't have enough of them to justify purchasing that vehicle, even though the performance now is similar to Tesla's, and the interior, everything about the Taycan is so much nicer than the Tesla inside, and the performance is just a tad bit better. The range isn't as good, but you can't get the charging. Like, that's the whole beauty of Tesla, is like I can go anywhere basically in North America with my car and I have no problems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think once they get that, there's more rapid charging stations available, like they have for like it would be like a equivalent of a gas station. Then yeah, you'll see a lot of conversion over at that point.
Okay.
Raja, is your runner still running?
No.
In GJ?
No.
GJ went back up.
No, everything is closed. I haven't taken a second entry. I know people were looking at buys in GJ. I think these were really good buys right over here. And then obviously your stop is below the 30-minute low, which is at 142,530. So yeah, I think the next target could be 142,800. Now, when you execute on this trade or any trade, the reason you have a stop at 142,530 below the 30-minute low is because if price starts coming down, if a candle starts closing bearish, then you can manage your risk, maybe take some risk off and do those risk management stuff to reduce the loss as it comes to your stop loss. And then you can look for a second entry. If it does stop you out, then you can look for a second confirmation, a second chance to your same bias. Then that's that. But if price continues on to your take profit or to your 10 pip target, and then with runners going to 142,800, then you can look back and say, okay, you know what, like this worked. Like I waited for this candle to close above here, and it just made sense for it to continue moving up. So there are like two scenarios that you should always be focused on. For price heading to TP, that's something we cannot control. For price heading to stop loss, again, that's something we cannot control. The only thing we can control is if price heads to stop, how are we managing that risk? Are we taking some risk off, or what are we doing? If price heads towards target, how are we managing that trade? Are we securing some profits, or are we letting it all run with a risk it may continue down? So you're constantly managing your trade. Hey, is this being recorded for YouTube? I see a lot of useful information in here that I would like to review. Yes, it's all recorded. You can go to my channel and you'll see everything is recorded for the past one full year. Wow, crazy to think every day since the last, like August 2019, is all on YouTube. Every day. Every New York session is on there. Crazy.
Would you start taking off risk if the 15 minutes started breaking its own low?
Yep.
Like at what point would you start being risk averse? Okay.
Yep. Because then it gives it room to close bearish, and if it's going to close below, this area here, then it'll be better off to, and then that means the 30-minute can close bearish, and then we can start to look for that support to be formed in this area for it to later on continue moving, if it forms a support. Let's take a look here. So this is support. Oh, buys are taken here, targeting high over here. Yeah, it's pretty good. This was a weak NY open. Yeah, I would say so. I think another reason is, we had a candle spike up to, 142,700. And I think we really need, as it starts pushing above 142,600, we need a push beyond 142,700 so we can continue on towards, the resistance here from February 27th. But This is the thing when we have wicks. When we have wicks, these wicks are formed in rejection areas. So we count on volume to carry the candle through those wicks towards our targets. But when price comes up to this wicks, then you start looking at, okay, you know what? There's a chance it can reject because if it's rejected before. So now you're playing with odds. You're like, okay, what are the odds that the volume is going to carry candle beyond the wicks? And what are the odds that the candle will reject in the same area where it rejected before? So let's say if it rejected here and people had buys, I think at this point you're probably taking some risk off. Maybe you're taking 50% off or 30% off or whatever you're doing over there. And ultimately, if price does come down here, then you're looking for a second chance. There isn't a support on 30-minute yet. Oh yes, that's true. There isn't. Exactly. So maybe then you wait for a support to be formed to give your trade a second chance.
Yeah, if you were trading gold, you would have seen the New York Open. It bounced off the bottom support of 1988, and now it's flown back up. So this, what we were talking about earlier, this is the kind of candle that we're looking for. We want this sort of wick down and now drive up. And now what you can say is once we break above here, your target's going to be there. Exactly. So that should be an easy trade for you to complete over the next hour or so.
Man, I don't know if you guys can hear this music, but this is my favorite song.
No, we can't hear. Oh, there we go. Oh, I remember that song.
Gold.
Bam, bam, bam,
Where would you place stops on gold on the 5-minute?
bam, bam.
I think it's going to be pretty big. You're looking at anywhere, I would say looking at around 1988, somewhere in that area, 1988.
Yeah, this is your range right here. Like this is where you can be stopped out at any time. So you have to wait for this candle over here to confirm if it's going to dip back into this or if it's just going to form out of it. And then you can start moving your stop there because this would be your original stop. And then once we leave this area here, you would then want to then move your stop out of this area. And that would also mean that we're leaving this zone to head out. So keep that in mind.
15-minute candle is about to close on GJ. A very tense moment for everyone in GJ buys right now. Very intense. The crowd is not looking pleased here today with this trade. Intense moments as the candles come to the final moments of its closure. We can do some sports commentary on the candles here.
Saka is trying to play boxing with the GJ.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam.
Such a the GJ boxer.
Man, I put my desk in the bullish mode now, so it should push up.
Oh, you're standing. So you got the moon.
Saka, I want your bullish desk.
Based on Mars and the Sun,
Oh
it should
my
be
God.
bullish.
And Sagittarius.
Let's
Ooh,
go.
in the last
boom.
moments.
Thanks, Sasha.
The last moments.
It's all
Last
about
moments.
the
Yeah,
bullish
man.
mode.
We're making a U-turn over here.
I think once you break 742, I think you're off to the races.
Yeah, I think so too. Because this is the time where people sometimes, they take sells and GJ makes that extra spike in the zone.
Yes.
Sometimes GJ is a little extra over here.
It's interesting when now that like newer traders are trading GJ, because I mean, I think when I started trading, I could have never have done this. Like UJ was our bread and butter. It was so smooth. It was so slow. We didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Like GJ, you never see these moves on UJ like this, like spikes up and down, and just be like, yeah, it's just gonna take us a couple hours to get 10 pips. That's all.
That would make the stream at least like 2 hours longer.
Yeah. I just, as a new trader, I could never have traded GJ. It's very, very wild.
Yeah, I started with UJ and then I moved to GG.
Ooh, we got SC190 donating $50 here. Here's a little something to cover some of the spread on your next trade. Thanks to you, Ted, Paul, Monty, Mac, Devon, and the Spanish guy from Miami.
Kerwin.
Kerwin, for changing my life. Spanish guy. Thank you. That's perfect.
Where is Kerwin?
Kerwin is here in the chat. He's just hiding.
Oh, he's hiding.
Show yourself.
You just
Getting shots, right?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, he only shows up at 8:30 for his 8:30 move.
Yeah.
Kerwin closes off the session. He gives you the telenovela information at 8:30.
Maria bought the US 30 at
That's right.
once time.
You'll see him. Rico Suave will show up at 8:30 and be like, guys, get ready. We're going all the way till 9:30. We're gonna push.
We're gonna go to 143.
Yep.
GJ, let's go. Kerwin's targets are always 20 to 30 pips beyond my targets.
Yep.
Always.
That's all. He comes in later. He gives you the 5-day forecast. You give the traffic report for like the rush hour. He gives you it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, he knows all about London close pushes.
Yep. I mean, we really have a radio show here. We got Mac in the corner. We got the Spanish representatives. Now we've got our Indian representatives. We got a pretty diverse group.
Yeah, it was still very multicultural.
I'll get the Frenchies.
There you go. We got
There
French
you go.
too.
Such parlez-vous français? Oui, oui.
All right, the 15-minute candle has closed over here. We're making higher highs and higher lows, and this candle needs to respect this low, can continue moving bullish, and that's gonna finish the 30-minute candle bullish there as well, and we'll have another 30-minute candle closing bullish. That's what we want. Candles make higher highs and higher lows. Should be good. I'm just providing support to everyone in buys right now. Like, I'm in no trade right now. I took my trade with the first push.
Yeah, the irony of this, where I closed my trade at 7 o'clock, it's maybe 20 pips, 20 pips over. No, sorry. Now it's at the same point where I would have closed it at 7 a.m. that it is at 8:15. So you can see how much GJ's moved in the last hour. It's basically not moved at all.
Take a look at USD CAD over here.
Gold just ripped right back down to support.
Yeah, I saw that. What it's so hard to trade gold.
Hey
And-
Raja. Oh, what's this? When you use 15 minutes, when you use 15 minutes, when you use 30 minutes. I think that's a very important question that goes through a lot of people's minds, that when you should be looking at the 30-minute and the 15-minute. Actually, it's not about that. It's about, you should be piecing together the entire time frames, right? So basically, if you want the 30-minute candle to finish bullish, you want this current 15-minute candle to go bullish as well, right? If this 15-minute candle doesn't go bullish, then that means the 30-minute candle is closing like a weak bullish candle. You know, so you're piecing together all the time frames. You know, sometimes on the 30-minute you see big candle moving up, you didn't see any confirmation. But when you look at the 15-minute, there you can find some sort of a confirmation. Like I took a buy right over here once this candles was breaking the high above 142,500. On the 30-minute, it really didn't make any sense because there was no microstructure. But when you drop down to the smaller time frame, you saw some sort of microstructure there. But at the same time, you're also accepting the fact that if you're looking at the 15-minute or the 5-minute, the confirmations are weaker than those of the 30-minute or the 1 hour. So you're taking that into account when you're taking your trade. I mean, you're taking that into your risk as well. Because now you're taking a trade based on a little bit like a riskier confirmation than something that you would get on a 30-minute or the 1 hour. So that's something you're always watching and waiting.
Hey, Roger.
Hey.
Yeah, I also found that, like in the initial stages, I was getting confused with the 15 and the 30-minute. But then, sometimes you wait for the 30-minute and you miss your trade because it's just not viable, And then you look back and think, okay, on the 15-minute, I could have done it. And that just takes maybe a few months to get your head around, and you adjust your risk accordingly. So, it is quite difficult because sometimes you'll take it on the 15, sometimes on the 30. But the risk is always calculated every single time, but it just takes time to see it.
So wait, so while you were waiting for the 15-minute trades, while you were waiting for the 30-minute, you were missing them most of the times.
Yeah, I was missing it, and then I looked back, but that was right at the beginning because I was just thinking, okay, now this looks too big for me or whatever, and then I'll take it on the 15. But then they were hitting stop loss sometimes because they were less accurate. And as time got better, I just started trusting the 30-minute more, and it's just over the few months you just get better and better and better, and then you've seen it so many times as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, it's really good that you mentioned it took you a few months.
Yeah.
It took you a few months of like missing trades and watching them on the 15-minute to see if it really makes sense. Yeah, like if you would have combined that with overtrading, this would have taken years.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overtrading bit, the first thing that market fluidity gave me was a cap on my losses. You see, and then when I look back at it, I was taking so many trades up, down, left, right, just keep on doing them. And what market fluidity does is it caps your losses straight away because 2 trades, 3 trades, that's it, you're out for the day. My trades I found that I was doing 7, 8, 9, 10 trades and my losses were exponential, So the first thing capped my losses, and then the second thing is now I've got to wait, and I'm just sitting here, just chilling, waiting for the trade, And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think most times when people start to trade Forex, they start from I don't know if it's a group setting or it's like a community setting where they start, where it's more, I don't know, like if it's more, it's much better for you to constantly be in positions and post that trade, and then someone else tries to one up you and say, oh yeah, you were in this trade, look at the trade I took, and then you post that trade, and then it's like a competition, of who can take better trades the most. I think that's where people like to walk into when they start trading. But like the good thing is, like when you start trading, you shouldn't be doing that. Like you should only be looking at 1 trade or 2 trade. That's it. Doesn't matter what someone else is doing. Doesn't matter what someone else is posting or how many trades he's taking. Because if you follow the same path, then you really start falling into over trading, like 6 trades and 7 trades.
Yeah, journaling. I think journaling is in the Slack group we just have everybody's journaling, and also Stefan. I think it's Stefanos, isn't it? I'm not sure if he's here, but he's got on his thing. He's journaling and stuff, and just going through people like that's the ones and your ones as well, and just looking at them. And I print them out, and when I'm sitting there in color, I watch them. I look at every single thing. Okay, what did he wait for? What? And then you've got about 6, 7 trades with different sort of views of how they took the trades every single day. Maybe I didn't take those trades, but I went through them and I analyzed them myself. So it really helps. Your analysis when you show it, I print it out straight away, and I go through that later on in the evening.
Yeah. There are people asking about journaling. This is the guy I recommend to watch. You know, like he posts his videos about journaling, what he looks for, how he journals. You can see we use these numbers. We use these numbers to plot thought processes. But he has built a really, really, really good journal on his Trello. Where's his Trello? I think it's over here. You go over here and you go to Trello account right here. You go into Trello and it opens, and this is entire journal, like, you know, like what to put in the journal, how to journal, like, you know, before and after entries, price where you entered, what was the reason, and the reason why you don't want to overtrade, because if you're overtrading, let's say if you're taking 6-7 trades, then you have to journal 6-7 fucking trades, man. That's going to take a long time. You know, journaling 6-7 trades, that's when you look at your 6-7 trades and you're like, man, I have to journal all these trades. It hurts your head. You know, so make your job easy for you. If you're really going to go into your journaling, you have to just focus on 1 or 2 trades, because 1 or 2 trades are really easy to journal rather than, like, you know, like 7 trades or 8 trades. Man, when you look at those 7-8 trades, you get embarrassed, because some of your losses are like, you don't want to put them up there, you know. But
and the journaling stops you from overtrading, because you take a trade, you're going to journal it, you're going to write it all up, and then, you know, that might take 20-30 minutes. That calms you down, you know. You're not, you know, whatever, if it was a win or a lose, it calms you down, and then you've got a fresh perspective again, you know.
Yeah, to be honest, I did the same thing journaling now, like every day. I mean, every trade, and post it also on Instagram. And to be honest, it just keeps you accountable, you know, and it stops you over trading. Definitely, I highly recommend journaling.
I honestly have never journaled anything, and I should.
Trixie, I love Trixie, by the way. Thank you for introducing that, Raja. Trixie was pretty good.
yeah, thank you. So we see this candle, it's about to close in 5 minutes. As it comes to a close, this means the 30-minute candle is also closing bearish, so the buys are going to be less probable in that state, you know, when the 30-minute candle closes bearish. So, you know, price may start coming down to create like a support to continue heading back up. But it needs to stay above, you know, 142.500. Trixie.trade is also a, it's another website here, Trixie.trade, and you can use this to your journaling things. Like you can drag and drop your, trading view charts here. No, not drag and drop. Like you can edit your trading view charts there and everything. Gold's at 1986.
Yeah, man, it's so hard, so difficult to trade in.
Yeah.
Broke right back into that zone again.
I'm not even seeing that. I'm taking it off my watch list stuff.
That's why I stay away from gold, man.
I'm taking it off my watch list already. I'm like, no. Spreads are down like 2 pips, but still not. No.
Hey, I know your risk management is personal, but I want to know your thoughts on this since volume in UJ is lower than volume in GJ. Thank you in advance. Please take a look at this chart. Let's take a look at this chart on UJ. This is set an alarm for 10 pips to close under 50%. I think you're going to be waiting there because UJ. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think if you're deciding to take profits, you're putting stops at break even back 5 pips. Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, I'd do the same because it's going to take a very long time for UJ to move here. Some people are saying gold is bullish now. Sure.
The other thing too with the U.S. pairs, keep in mind it's NFP week this week, right? So you're going to have a lot of orders being entered into the market with U.S. dollar pairs, so gold, like Euro USD, things like that. So you're not always going to get really clean moves this week. Once again, you wait for the high impact news to finish, and then that will set the course for the rest of that particular pair for the most part. And once again too, think about how candles break down. Beginning of the candle is always very tough to figure out what's happening with it, because of the fact that, you know, it's the start of the candle. Then when you get into the middle or the body of the candle, excuse me, you get a bit of direction, and then at the end you also get a little bit of you know, confusion. You know, it'll push a little bit or pull back. So think of now the monthly candle for September. This is what's happening with the monthly candle on September, but we're fighting on the smaller time frames. We're fighting on the hour time frame or the 4-hour time frame. So you have to understand, potentially the first week of a new month can be a very, very tough week, because of the fact that, you know, you're going to get a lot of erratic moves. So keep that in mind. Like Raja said earlier, you want to be able to tell stories with the candles. And if we don't have a big enough story on the higher time frames, where are we going to get that story on the smaller time frame, right? At the end of the day, the smaller time frames do generate the trend or, you know, change the direction. But if we don't have clear direction to begin with, what are the smaller time frames doing? The smaller time frames are trying to set that direction first, and then the higher time frame has that bias, and then the lower time frames will then continue to set that direction. But at least you'll have a better idea by looking at the higher time frames. At the beginning of a month, you really don't have a set idea, because it's too early in the monthly candle to really get a defined trajectory of which way we're going. Usually the second and third weeks of the month, we've got somewhat of a defined movement, so you can now work off of that and your story's a little stronger. So keep that in mind.
Well, it looks like GJ made a high over here. Now for buying, you need to wait for a support to be formed. And gold did its magic again. Wow, look at that. Well, at least the moves aren't 40 pips on gold. You know, like manageable 15, 20 pips. Why would GJB only be influenced by the pound and not the yen? Oh, yeah, because the yen is closed. Just like how when someone tries to trade AUD JPY in New York session, AUD and the yen is closed in New York session. Wow, gold is really moving over here. Damn, are we coming down to 1984? JPY is very strong fundamentally. Mac, I think the Chinese indicator is going to disagree with you, because it's saying it's really weak fundamentally right now.
You have it on me today.
So I don't know if I should trust you
today,
or I don't know if I should trust you or the Chinese
man.
indicator.
You know what? I'm just gonna mute myself. I'll be back. I'm gonna go back to the good legs.
All right, let's take a look at this chart here. Resistance, entries taken here. Oh, beautiful. So let's make this zone a little bit more concise. Let's put it somewhere like this over here. So this is the entire area. This is the entire area where you know, 30-minute can come down to create like a support. I say like anything above 142.500 is still gonna keep the bias valid. You know, if a support is formed at like 142.500 or above it, you know, bias is still valid. But if we do break below 142.500, then there's a very high chance price is gonna continue down to, like, you know, correct this move up. So there are levels to be respected now. I don't think anyone should be in buys right now because the 30-minute candle closed bearish, which is a strong confirmation for it to keep on continuing down until, like, I mean, let's see what happens, how it reacts to this area here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Kervin.
I promise you, I'm not gonna say any bad word today.
Whoa.
So nobody can complain on the emails. Just be careful with gold, because the way I see gold is rejecting support more than 3 times already, 1985. So be aware of that support that has been created since yesterday during Asian session. So London tried to break that support and it couldn't. And so if gold close back in range around 1988, most likely we're going to retest the resistance, which is 1992. And then so on, 2000 should be a nice target for later on today, or London close going to Asian session, Just be aware of that, because this move to the downside is more like a fake out. Always, it's happening during New York that we have this fake out to the downside to get some buys. So just be aware of that.
All right, let's take a look at this chart. Guys, can you please give me an analysis on your JPY? Your GBP? I think you need to send your own analysis on your GBP. Hey, can chance to reduce losses? Let's take a look here. Bullish momentum, looking for buy setups. Okay, creating support. Okay, entered when broke the previous candle upper wick. Stop loss. Current candle low. Stop loss right here. Full position closed when it formed bearish and also bringing previous wick low. Okay, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think once this kind of start breaking the low over here, you close your full position, which means that you lost less than what you planned on losing. So that's extremely good. Like most people lose more. I mean, here's why most people, you're still at break even. The reason why you're still at break even right now is because when you're losing, you're still losing, like, let's say 15 pips. But when you're winning, you're still winning 15 pips, so you stay at break even. So now you got to figure out that, okay, how can you not be at break even? So this is a really good example how you cannot be at break even. So let's say most of your wins are like 10 to 12 pips, because you're like, oh yeah, this Raja retard guy on live streams, they take 10 pips. So let's say you're taking those 10, 12 pips. So if you're securing 10 pips all the time, and if you're doing something like this, when prices, like if you're managing your risks something like this, man, you're not losing 10, 12 pips at the same time. You're losing way less than that. So that's how your losses, they become less. That's how you get less losses. Your losses are kept smaller, but your wins remain the same. So then from perspective, your wins, they look much bigger than your losses, because you're constantly hammering your losses. And someone said this correct. I think it was Yasser. He said this correct, that with market, like the whole idea about market fluidity is to really put a cap on losses. First you gotta control the spill. The spill are your losses. You gotta control the spill, and then you gotta start to work on how to get better analysis and better, technical levels and all of that sort. But normally when you start trading, you do the opposite. You start working on how to make the most money, and you don't start working on how to, control the spill or control the losses. So you gotta do the opposite. Ooh, looks like Kervin was correct over here.
It's been happening week over week, we have seen this move around 8:15, 8:30, and then the next 30 minute pull back to close back in range, and the rest of the day is a story. It's just continue moving up.
Yeah, I think above 1990.50, it's it's going all the way to 1992 and then beyond. What's this? Entry at break of the 5-minute range. Stops below, secured 80% at 1-to-1, secured 10% at 10 pips. Got 10. Oh, nice. Very nice. You got it. Diego Marine LGIG. Your JPY is also ranging. See now how difficult price action looks on the 15-minute time frame. So what do? You make life easy for yourself. And what's the first step towards making life easy for yourself when price is ranging? You go up a time frame. Let's go to 30-minute time frame. You go to 30-minute time frame. You see 30-minute candle close bearish. So for buys, you look for a candle that closes bullish. Because now it just made a high and it makes sense for it to do a little retracement, create support, and do the same thing we're expecting on GJ. Looks like UJ wants to do the same thing over here. UJ, GJ, and your JPYs in the same positions right now. But even though technically they're at the same positions, fundamentally all three of them, they are moved by different currencies. So before someone says that they're all correlated, they're not correlated. I mean, if this was in the Asian session, then you could say they're correlated, because in the Asian session, all three currencies are only influenced by the yen.
Yeah, I think people have to be aware of currency strength, and what I mean by that is the actual country currency itself. Like we have excuse me, we have the US dollar, we have the yen, we have the pound, we have the euro. Like, you have to do some research and understand how each country works from an economic standpoint and a political standpoint, because then when you see like EJ versus GJ move, you'll see that they have similar movements in terms of direction, but they're not always correlated in that sense, because there could be a different economic or political climate going on in that country, and then you have basically it's backing up against the yen. So as an example, we've done this in the past. If both the pound and the yen and the yen are weak in general, it's not going to move as well as, say, the pound versus the US dollar, where the US dollar is now strong and the pound is weak. So you have to be aware of that. So a lot of times when people trade the yen pairs, the pair that's trading against the yen, whether it's the euro, the pound, or the dollar, you need to see strength all across the board, because what you're doing is you're basically having the strongest pair versus the weakest pair. But if that strong pair, that strong currency is not strong across the board, it's not going to fight as good against the yen as you think it will. And that's what creates the erratic movement. So when the pound is, say, very, very strong, as an example today, it was very, very strong, the yen takes a beating, and that's where you get those heavy movements. But if the pound weakens just for a bit, that's where you have that sideways movement. So you have to be very cognizant of that when you're trading the various pairs. And people say, well, GJ, UJ, and EJ all move the same direction. And it's like, well, not necessarily. You have to look at it from a standpoint of what is the pound, the euro, and the US dollar doing in the relative economic condition versus the yen. For the most part, the pound, the euro, and the dollar are very strong, currencies to begin with, right? You have the United States, you have the UK, you have the European Union. So you have a very strong base there. But if there's any sort of hesitation in those bases, that's where you get trouble with fighting against like a yen pair, because a yen pair is a safe haven. So you have half the people saying that the UK is strong, and then you have the other half of people saying, no, I want to flee the UK and go into the yen. Right? So that's where you have to be very, very cautious. And when you're trading a yen pair, you really want the currency that you're trading against the yen pair to have a very, very strong outlook, both from a political side and an economic side. And that's where you get the direction.
So, gold is doing his thing. Hope nobody sold gold.
Oh, I was in mute. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
Because I was talking about US 30 and then current starts. I'm like, wait a minute.
You know what? I saw your mouth move, and I thought maybe
Yeah.
you were eating something.
Oh.
I saw it move a little bit. I thought you were eating something.
I thought he was eating mangoes or something.
No, mango season is over.
Bearish.
Mango season is bearish right now. All right. let's
For
take
the
a look.
last 4 weeks, I've eaten pretty clean. I'm actually impressed with myself. I haven't really eaten junk food.
No McDonald's.
No McDonald's, no mangoes. Everything's good.
Wow.
Big difference, right? Like
Yeah.
you notice a big difference.
Yeah.
I'm losing my COVID. My COVID gun.
You know what? That's it. Like you eat clean, you stay clean, you wash your hands, you just basically have good hygiene, and man, I don't think anything can happen to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. I'll see you when you see when we travel.
Yeah, that's gonna be the ultimate test. Whoever travels across oceans and comes back safe, man, you're like the perfect human specimen out there.
But can you prove it?
Can you prove it on Think or Swim though?
Oh man. But Vince, my new training partner at the gym now, man, he's killing me. Yesterday, the bar almost fell on my head.
Oh,
Vincent? No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Vincent. That's a trip.
Yeah, Vince was.
That's a big difference in height right there.
No, we did chest yesterday, and I'm like, I can only do 6 reps. He's like, no, go 8. I'm like, I'm telling you.
Pushing a plate? What were you doing, a plate?
I do like 10 pounds on each side.
No.
I keep it light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10 pounds on each side, and then I get the pink weights for the.
No, come on, bro. nah, I'm unfriending you right now.
Max, like, okay, what do I say to that now?
No.
How should I react?
Stopped at 10 pounds. I'm like, no, well, how am I supposed to answer this? I'm like, okay. Maybe the pink weights. I'm like, can you prove it?
No, I was doing, what was I doing yesterday? Like 175 yesterday. 180, so that's good.
Oh, that's chilling.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
45.
yeah, it was just the last time I did 225 was in my 20s. So I'm trying to get back up. My goal is to get back up to 225 by November. That's my goal.
So about 2 plates.
Yeah, 2 plates.
Get down.
That's very impressive because your arms are long.
Right.
Usually, when you have long arms, it's really hard.
It is hard, yeah.
That's
From a lever standpoint, yeah.
Super
right.
hard.
Carolyn has long arms. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's easy for Mac because he has really short arms.
Hey, yo, come
And
on,
for
bro.
Vince,
Like, why
too.
you always put my?
Yeah,
yo,
but,
I'm
no,
about
but
to
it's
show
just
my.
in general. It's
Where's
just in
my
general.
license?
It's
Where's my
true.
license? I'm gonna show you my
I knew
license
that
right
wasn't
now. I'm
true.
5'7".
Man, the license is fake.
I'm
You
5'7",
got
dude.
the license on Sedanos.
I can't lie on my license. I'm an organ donor.
You can't prove that.
I can prove it. I have a thinker
can.
swim.
No,
I have
you
a
can't.
thinker swim, and I have my height on there. Bearish. I mean bullish.
You paid the
That
guy
meme
to
is
put
epic.
6 feet on the license.
Dude, you could tell them anything at the driver's license. You could tell them you're 7'10", they'll put it on you. They don't give a damn.
Yeah, then, oh, okay.
Alright, yo, ready or what? Here.
Yeah, Mac, sure, license to the entire world.
Oh my bad.
Great idea.
I can't.
Oh, man.
See, sometimes I protect you for your own good, you know?
I know. You can't do that.
Oh, Jesus.
It says 5'7". Like,
Honestly,
Yeah,
I think Friday's guest should be Howard Stern, and we should show him the characters that come on this live stream, and he'll be like, wow. He's like, this is how I started off.
Fuck.
You guys have a show.
Yeah.
I guess this Mac dude.
Yeah. This is Mac guy.
Weird.
It's Beetlejuice.
Oh,
White Beetlejuice.
oh, Mac.
You guys legit make the morning better every day.
Hey, Mac, can you prove that you have a credit card, both the front and the back?
Oh, yeah, that's
Can you
right.
prove it's real?
I got look right here. Boom. There you go. But you can't see it because it's in the back.
Oh, nice. Even I don't have an American Express. That's some next level stuff.
And it's metal.
Metal. Holy cow.
How do you get it? Like,
Platinum
how does
gold.
this work? Is this like a normal Visa card?
No, this is American Express Gold business.
Yeah, but like, how does it?
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's based on your income and credit score. So you pay up the total every month, and basically you get points and stuff. It's not that big of a deal, but they give you like a good credit line.
Oh, okay.
It's not a black card, you know, like a Citizen card. No limits. You have a limit.
What's the CVV on the back?
Oh,
420.
it's 4 digits and
It's 420. Trust.
maybe one.
Oh, man.
Tune into the next episode and I'll probably let it go.
Oh, man.
Be
Oh,
careful.
jeez.
Be careful, Raja. You're gonna have 3,000 people trying to contact Howard Stern.
Look at that number, man.
8889 asshole. Stern show call it number. Stern
You
one.
should do that, Raja. Get it. I'll buy you a cell phone. Let's get an international cell phone or a Skype phone, and then what we can do is hook it up to your computer, and you can take calls live here on YouTube as well.
Oh, man, that's a dope idea. Yeah,
That's
I like
a
it.
great idea.
Sheesh. Wow.
They'd be like, 1-800 Raja Banks.
To be honest, that's awesome. Yeah.
Man, we're gonna let the gulag into Roger's room.
Oh shit, man! The phone's gonna go off the hook here.
Man, they're gonna be phoning you every 24 hours. It's not gonna stop.
Yeah,
It's
no,
annoying.
it's good.
No, but what you do is you just turn it on for like the last 15 minutes of the stream, and then you get a caller call in, and then you can see what they want to talk about. Live with Raja Banks.
That's actually a great idea.
I think it would be hilarious.
Tell
Can
us
you
your
imagine
drawdown
people like
and
that?
what do you plan to do
Yeah.
about it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what they do on TV, right? Like they have those call-in shows, like about real estate and investing. It's like you call in and be like, yeah, I'm in like a 40 pip drawdown. Like I need some help.
I want to stay anonymous.
Yeah,
just
I wanna
in
stay
case,
anonymous, yeah.
because my wife might be hearing this.
Yeah. My name is Joe. I'm from Toledo, and I'm in a 40 pip drawdown.
Ooh, Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what
Bro,
happens
what
here.
is my cat doing?
I never actually looked at the people on camera before. I see a couple people that I never seen before.
You know, this
What's
is
up?
how.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is exactly how the idea of live streams came about. Like one day we're just like joking around, hey, we can just do this live, and have people send charts and just like roast them sometimes and give good like feedback and stuff.
Oh man.
That-
We have Mora. I'm saying your name right, Mora? She's focused over there.
I know what I can do. I can jump on my phone camera. I'll log in under a different ID. I wonder if I can do that. I think I can log in twice, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, through your phone.
But seriously, your laptop doesn't have a camera?
No, I have a desktop, that's why.
It's a desktop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a window.
There's one
Yes, a
program
window.
you can download and use like a webcam. That's what I use
Windows
sometimes.
Vista.
You could download what as a webcam? Your phone?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna put on chat.
Epic. Then you gotta have to like have your phone on stand or be moving it.
Yeah, I have like a tripod here. Then I put there.
See, there I am. I'm here.
Okay.
I just have my camera
Eddie
for my
boy.
phone.
Oh,
now we're gonna hold forever.
It's Eddie boy.
I had to stroll like 5 page over to see Ted.
Oh my god, Ken. Let me see how many people are on the camera. Oh.
I can do that that TikTok thing. And Julie, it said,
Oh, no. Can you do this one? I got it.
So quick question, man. Where are you guys coming from that's on the cam? Like Tony, where you from?
I'm from Montreal, Canada.
Okay. And Phil
Said Tony.
Borth. I'm bad with names.
Sacha.
Yeah, I'm from Australia, bro, Sydney.
Said
Oh
me.
wow. That's crazy.
I'm Seattle.
Oh,
Straight up
Steve,
from Seattle.
Steven, where you from?
I'm from South Florida, actually in Sunrise, Florida.
Sunrise. Oh.
Oh man, you're a couple minutes away from me.
Where you at?
I'll buy you lunch.
Let's
I'm
do
in
it.
Palm Beach.
That's
I'm
cheap.
from Lauderdale.
Yeah, I actually used to live in Coconut Creek.
Oh, that's not far at all.
All right,
So you
next,
live near to
Chris.
the 595?
I live in Tucson, but I'm from Homestead, Florida.
Chris is from Homestead. All right, so you passed the exit one.
I'm in Lauderdale.
You know Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Shout out Deep Side. Deep Side 5519 in the building.
Hey, I'm from Miami, so I'm from Doral now. Westchester, bunch of Chicos. But I'm in New York right now. Let's see who else. You got Yazzer, he's from England, so he's lost. Fielden, where you from?
Me, I'm from Australia, bro, Sydney.
Oh, Australia. Oh, you said it?
Yeah.
Marcel,
Getting
where
late
you
here. Gonna go to bed soon.
Please forgive us. He's on Mac right now, so please forgive us.
All right,
It's
so
all
I'm
good.
back. I'm back right now.
Okay, I'm muted. I'm gonna go ahead and mute it right now. So.
Teacher showed up, Mac.
He had to announce
Teacher
it.
showed up, Mac. Shut up.
Well, you know what he announces it? It's like
Detention.
I get chills. I'm like, oh my god. How am I doing?
I get more kills than you. time is it? Oh, we got the 4-hour candle closing here everywhere. 4-hour bullish, 1-hour candle also closing bullish. But it's closing above 142.500, which is pretty good because that area is being respected. You know, as long as that area gets respected, I think we're going to continue on, you know, bullish till 800 by like London close. 4 are also closing bullish on UJ, making it a clean run towards, you know, 106. US 30 is bearish. Wow, gold is still in that range. Damn.
Yeah, man.
Fake out on both sides. If the 30-minute candle closes bullish on this pair, it makes sense to take an impulse entry if it breaks the high. If it closes bullish and breaks the high here, you know what? I would say that now, since we have formed this mini range over here, there's like a minor resistance formed at 142.650, I would say. I think you'll need a candle to, like for safe buys, you'll need candles to come up above 142.650. You know, aggressive obviously going to be if you form support here, so then you're taking a buy, then anticipating the volume NY open, no NYC, and probably by like London close to push price up. So those are two scenarios that could happen over here. Oh wow, it looks like UJ is closing back in the range over here. Just rejecting. Damn, what's going on? NFP week. Ooh, in the very last moments, gold is now deciding where it's going to close. Will we close above or below? We don't know. If you use 15-minute time frame, how do we determine if it's forming a lower wick on 30 minutes time frame, or is it really going down? That's something. Okay, so if we look at, so it depends on what you're looking at, right? So you need to give a specific example. If you look at the 15-minute right now, it's closing the way it is. I mean, if it closes bullish, then the 30-minute candle closes bullish. Oh, okay, so it closed like that. So 30-minute candle closed like that too. So it's basically you're just understanding how, you know, the 15-minute candles, they build the overall 30-minute time frame. So two 15-minute candles build the overall 30-minute time frame. Plus also you're looking at if it's the last 15-minute candle or the first 15-minute candle of the 30 minutes. You know, usually if a trend is bullish and you're looking at the 15 minutes, let's take a look at right over here. You know, so this was a 30-minute candle that started at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is a start right over here. So when this 15-minute candle closed bearish, this was the top wick being formed on the 30-minute time frame right over here. And then the next 15-minute, it broke the high here, and then that pushed the 30-minute candle moving bullish. Around 2.5 hours for taking a single trade. Yes, my first trade, well, I only took one trade, and the one trade I took was 40 minutes into the stream. That was for about like 5 minutes, maybe 5-7 minutes. That's about it. But, and after that, like, you know, price has been bouncing around. So yeah, just waiting for support to be formed for a continuation. Or I think the best two opportunities are going to be if we form a support, and if the support breaks for sells, or if it gets respected for buys. One thing I've understood is how does risk management How does risk management work with leverage? What? Oh, one thing I've never understood. Okay, 3K count. Yeah, so basically leverage is about like how much risk you can put on at any given time. Let's say if you have a 500 to 1 leverage and you have $1,000 account, that means that you can potentially put up, I'd say like $500 to $600 at any given time, like 50 to 60% of your account can be at risk openly. If you have a lower leverage, let's say you have a 10 to 1 or 50 to 1, then that basically protects you from putting up a lot of risk on. So maybe at that point, yeah, go on.
Also, what leverage also allows you to do is it's how much risk your broker is allowing, or how much exposure they're giving themselves to you. So with a broker that has higher leverage, they allow you to borrow more to trade on, right? But what ends up happening is the more that you borrow, the faster you could possibly lose that, because essentially you're borrowing equity that you don't have, but they reserve that in your account. So when you have lower leverage, it forces you to manage your equity a little bit more cautiously. The reason why people say higher leverage is bad for traders is because they don't understand how to manage their risk, right? Like Raja said, because 500 to 1 leverage is essentially saying this: for every dollar that I'm going to trade, I'm receiving the buying power of $500. So yes, my account can go up faster, but when it goes down, it's eating that amount as well. So you have to be careful with that. So when people have 50 to 1, your buying power is less, but then your exposure to the downside is also less as well with that margin available, right? So 500 to 1 leverage gives you more margin, where 50 to 1 leverage doesn't give you the same. It gives you 10 times less margin. But to have that margin available in your account, it takes more of your account out. So you reserve more of your account, the lower the leverage. So think of your account as a piece of pie, right? And your leverage, basically you have your margin in your equity. As you increase your leverage, more margin is reserved out of your account. So obviously if it goes the right way, you don't have to worry, but when it goes the wrong way, it eats more of your account.
Yeah, especially if you remove your stops.
Okay, improve it. I think we're retesting 500 to continue up.
Yeah, I'm looking at that too.
Your US 30 sells would have hit take profit, Raja. Good job on that.
Oh, it did continue down.
Yep, as we expected.
Nice. 930 should either push up or down.
So whoever was in that US 30 sell, congratulations, you took a nice win there. Because that was what, like that's 100 points almost.
Yeah, I mean, US 30 is pretty hard, man. It's really hard to trade. Last trade I took on US 30 was in May. And after that, I was like, yeah, it makes no sense.
Oh, May.
May, yeah. Last trade I took on US 30 was on May. I think like the way how I trade, like based on like candles and technicals and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not easy to have a comfortable stop loss either.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes the confirms that you see, which you see on like regular pairs, they're not as, they just don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main problem, the stop loss. You're gonna need more than 50 points on the stop losses.
I found this is more fundamentally driven than technicals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ted, Raja, question, but if you're sticking to say 1% per trade, then how will you ever use more than 50 to leverage? Some other instruments are, when you trade, like say for example, you're trading a metal, they only have 100-to-1 leverage, or you're trading an indice, their leverage is tighter. So it's not only the broker's margin that they give you or leverage, but it's also the leverage of the various pairs that you're trading can also affect you. So if you're at 50-to-1 leverage with, say, gold, and gold now leverage is 10 times is 5 times less than the regular leverage, you now are basically crippled trying to make any sort of gain with that, because what you're doing is you're going to have to put such a large amount of capital up to manage the trade, whereas with a higher leveraged account, you don't have to put up as much capital, but it gives you the flexibility to trade pairs that have bigger leverage restrictions like US 30 or gold, things of that nature. So you have to keep that in mind too. A lot of people talk about spreads, right? And why spreads are important. Spreads are important because that also cuts into your profit margin as well, right? So there was a discussion on Sunday I had with this person, and they were talking about spreads, and they were saying to me that spreads really don't matter. And they actually do matter, because if a spread on a certain pair is 3 or 4 pips, and I'm trying to scalp 1 or 2 pips, the move could happen within that spread, and I wasn't able to capture that move. Whereas when the spread is tighter, I'm able to capture that move and basically capitalize on that opportunity. So when you look at certain things in trading, not just the actual charts, but what broker you're using, how are you using your leverage, how are you using your risk, those are important things to keep in mind. Because if you're scalping, you can't afford to have a spread that's wide. It makes no sense. If you're swing trading, that's not a big deal, it doesn't affect you. But if you're scalping like we did this morning, the spread on GJ was 1.5 pips. If you're scalping that and the spread is 3.5 or 4.5 pips, you don't make any money, because my 10 pip trade would only be a 5 pip trade.
Ooh, wow, dropping hard over here. Gold is still in range. GJ, for GJ to continue down, it will, you will need to see for it to create like a minor resistance if you're going to say, okay, it's going to continue down here, because then you can look forward towards correcting this move here. It's 10 past 9 a.m. Someone is asking for broker recommendation. Yeah,
Traders Domain, that's what I use.
Yeah, that's what Max used. Traders Domain. Is IC Market a good broker for scalping? Not sure.
When I used IC Markets, I had no problem scalping with them. They were good.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
They had a lot of business from Ontario.
Yeah, they did at one point. Yeah. All you have to do is, if you're looking for you have to define what kind of trades you're going to do. Are you going to do a swing trader, or are you going to be a scalper? If you're a scalper, you're looking for raw spreads and commission, because you want to be able to get in and out quick, and you rather sacrifice a bit of your profit than sacrifice the entry points and exit points of your trades, right? And what I mean by that is, I rather give away a commission, a fee to play, than try and counteract an entry or an exit in terms of having just spread at that point. So you want low spreads with a commission. If you're swing trading, it doesn't really hurt you to have raw spreads, but you can have just a spread account with no commissions, so that as your trade runs, you're going to be holding it for a little bit longer. You don't have to worry about paying a fee to have that trade, but you just pay the spread, which is already baked into your overall profits at that point. So is the commission, but people look at it as, well, that's a fee that I paid, and why did I pay so much? Either way, you're going to pay a fee to trade, either through commission or through spreads, one or the other. There's no way that you can trade for free. Put it that way.
Yeah, there's no such thing as zero spread.
Right.
Yeah, you're always paying one way or the other. This commissions for sure.
Yes.
If you have zero spread, you're paying commission 100%. So you don't have zero spread.
And a good broker is also going to charge you at least $7 per lot. So always keep that in mind. If it's lower than that, then it's not like a broker.
All right, guys, I'm gonna head off here. This is 15 past 9 almost, and I think it's time to go.
Yeah, man.
It's time to go end the show.
See ya.
All right, have a good day, guys.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Give it a like.
Tomorrow you'll be in London, right?
Tomorrow.
Oh no,
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we'll stream tomorrow. My flight is on Wednesday evening. Tomorrow evening.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Sounds good.
Blackpool markets are based on New Zealand, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I just dropped my phone number in there if anybody wants to meet in the South Florida area.
All right. Thank you for 3,000 people now have your phone number.
Now they're gonna be calling you.
There you go. 954. Delete.
Gonna be me and the group
right
are all weekend long.
Hey, Steven, are you in England? Like, is that?
No, I'm in South Florida.
South Florida, okay. Yeah, well, if you guys want to make a group in South Florida, there we go.
Sunrise. Let's see. That's good.